you got everything you wanted from Shedeur Sanders in this game, and I'm so excited. I'm sure they're going to name him the starter this week because there's no reason to go back to Dylan Gabriel, because you're getting what you want from Shedeur. You're seeing that growth, that progress. And I think if he continues to grow at that level, there's going to be a really hard decision if he's your franchise guy at the end of the season.
We're going to do our work on the quarterback market. It's too important of a position. And it's something that has to be solidified. I can't sit here and tell you today, whether the solution or the starter in 2026 is internal or external, but it's something that we're going to work through.
A guy who has not produced a quarterback in 6 years. I thought the owner came off.
I thought Shedeur did a really good job making the necessary improvements and making a big step in the right direction to being a great franchise quarterback.
The Cleveland Browns are standing at the most critical crossroads in franchise history. And Joe Thomas, he just dropped a nuclear truth bomb that should have every executive in Berea scrambling for cover. The Hall of Fame left tackle didn't hold back, not even a little bit. In a brutally honest breakdown of Cleveland's head coaching search, Thomas exposed the fundamental flaw in how the Browns might be approaching their rebuild. And if Andrew Berry and the front office aren't paying attention, they're about to make the same mistakes that have haunted this franchise for 2 decades.
Do get a head coach. One, don't pick it because it fits Shedeur Sanders. Pick him because you think he's a great head coach and you think he's a great culture builder and a great leader.
Let's be crystal clear about something. Joe Thomas has earned the right to speak with authority on this topic. 11 Pro Bowls, 10,000 consecutive snaps, a career spent protecting quarterbacks who ranged from competent to catastrophic. He's seen every coaching philosophy, every rebuild strategy, every false dawn this organization has endured. When he talks, you listen. And what he's saying right now should terrify Browns fans who've been sold on the Shedeur Sanders fever dream. The conversation started with a hypothetical that revealed everything. If Thomas had to choose between playing for the current Pittsburgh Steelers or Baltimore Ravens, which would he pick? His answer wasn't just about quarterbacks. It was a scathing indictment of how quickly NFL franchises can crumble when they make the wrong decisions at the top.
So I'd play for Baltimore because they've got a better quarterback.
Yeah.
I think Pittsburgh is going to be in a lot of trouble right now because I think it's pretty clear that Aaron Rodgers is not going to be there. He's probably going to retire, and they've got an overpriced old defense.
Wait, Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh? Thomas just casually dropped fictional quarterback scenarios while making a very real point about organizational decline. The Steelers are facing an identity crisis. Mike Tomlin stepping down after 18 years of never having a losing season represents the end of an era. And Thomas sees the warning signs that Cleveland desperately needs to avoid. Because here's the thing the Browns front office might be missing. You don't build around uncertainty. You don't construct a coaching philosophy around a quarterback who hasn't proven he's the franchise cornerstone. And you absolutely don't hire a head coach based on fit with a player who might not even be on the roster in 2 years. This is where Thomas absolutely torched the current thinking in Cleveland. The Browns are interviewing candidates. Names are being floated. Mike McDaniel just became available after getting fired in Miami. Brian Flores is generating defensive coordinator buzz. Tommy Rees is the in-house option. And the entire conversation seems to revolve around one question: who works best with Shedeur Sanders? Thomas shut that narrative down with surgical precision. He didn't dance around it. He didn't offer diplomatic coach speak. He said what every rational football mind knows, but nobody in Cleveland wants to admit.
It's hard for me to say yes or no because, one, I don't think that you want to hire a head coach based on his fit with Shedeur Sanders because I don't think Shedeur has done enough yet to say he's definitely our franchise quarterback.
That statement should be plastered on every wall in the Browns facility. It should be the first thing Andrew Berry sees when he walks into his office. It should be the screensaver on every computer in the scouting department. Shedeur Sanders played half a season. He showed flashes. He also showed limitations. The athleticism concerns are real. The decision-making inconsistencies are documented. The habit of drifting backward in the pocket and always switching the ball to his left hand when scrambling, those aren't quirks. Those are coaching points that need serious work. And here's where it gets really interesting. Thomas doesn't think Sanders is a lost cause. Not at all. But he's realistic about what the rookie actually is right now versus what the hype machine has turned him into. The Hall of Famer pointed out something crucial that's being lost in all the Shedeur coverage. The kid didn't get real practice time as the starter. He was thrown into game situations without the developmental reps that allow young quarterbacks to break bad habits and build muscle memory for NFL-level timing. That's not an excuse. It's context.
So I think that Shedeur still has an opportunity to prove that he can play within the structure of an offense and he can throw with timing and get rid of some of those bad habits, like always putting the ball in his left hand when he's trying to run. And
so what does this mean for Cleveland's coaching search? Everything. Thomas made it abundantly clear. Culture matters more than scheme right now. The Browns need a leader who can establish standards, build organizational identity, and create an environment where young players develop correctly. They don't need an offensive wizard who's married to a specific system that may or may not fit their current roster. The coordinator question becomes paramount. Tommy Rees is in-house. Does he have the gravitas to mold a franchise quarterback? Can he install an offense that maximizes whatever talent Cleveland puts on the field? Those questions don't have clear answers yet. Mike McDaniel's name keeps circulating. Thomas gave him credit for early success in Miami, but was brutally honest about the fit.
I really liked Mike McDaniel. I thought he did a great job early on, especially when he was in Miami. I think he's maybe a little bit of an acquired taste, right?
Yeah.
He's got a very different, unique offense.
McDaniel's system requires specific personnel, speed guys, space creators, athletes who can execute timing routes at an elite level. Does Cleveland have that? Not even close. Jerry Jeudy is inconsistent. The receiving core needs complete reconstruction. And McDaniel isn't the culture builder this franchise desperately needs. Which brings us to the elephant in the room, Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh. The chat ran a poll, nearly 50-50 split on which legendary coach Browns fans would prefer. Both are available. Both have championship pedigrees. Both would instantly transform Cleveland's organizational credibility. And neither is coming to Ohio. But Thomas played the game anyway, and his answer revealed everything about what he values in coaching.
I'd like Tomlin for two reasons. One, I think he's probably done more with less throughout his career than John Harbaugh has done. And then two, I think that he is an incredible motivator, and I would certainly love to.
Doing more with less. That's the Browns' reality. They're not the Ravens with consistent front office excellence. They're not the Steelers with 70 years of organizational stability. They're Cleveland. They need a coach who can squeeze every ounce of potential from imperfect rosters. Tomlin's motivational ability matters in a city that's been beaten down by decades of failure. His press conference one-liners would energize a fan base desperate for personality. His ability to maintain a standard year after year despite roster turnover is exactly what Cleveland needs. But Thomas also threw cold water on the fantasy. He thinks Tomlin goes to media. CBS or Fox will throw absurd money at him to work 1 day a week. No stress, no rebuilds, just personality and analysis. Same with Harbaugh. Why would either of these coaching legends want to start over in their 60s? Why would they leave established programs to bet on Shedeur Sanders and a defense that might not stay together? They wouldn't, and the Browns need to accept that reality. So where does this leave Cleveland? They need to get the process right, not the name, the process. Find a culture builder first, someone who can establish non-negotiable standards in that locker room, someone players will run through walls for, someone who makes veterans accountable and develops young players properly. Then find the offensive infrastructure to support quarterback development. Whether that's Shedeur Sanders or a 2026 draft pick, the system needs to be in place first. Thomas made another critical point that's being overlooked: Kyle Shanahan. Everyone remembers him as an offensive genius, but Thomas played for him in Cleveland and saw something different.
Like, Kyle's the smartest offensive mind I've ever been around, but he's also not a yeller and a screamer. And so sometimes as fans, we just always equate a guy that's screaming and, blowing a gasket on the sideline with being the culture builder, because
Culture building comes in different forms. Shanahan did it with intelligence and accountability. He gave players a game plan that made them successful, then held them to executing it perfectly. That's leadership. That's culture. Cleveland needs to find their version of that, not copy someone else's formula. Find what works for this roster, this city, this moment. The draft looms large. If the Browns take a quarterback in the first round, that's their answer on Sanders. He becomes the backup, the developmental project, the insurance policy, and the new coach builds around whoever they draft. The Browns are full of those players, guys with talent who need the right system, the right coaching, the right culture to unlock their potential. That's why the head coach hire matters so much. This isn't about X's and O's. It's about identity. It's about establishing who the Cleveland Browns are going to be for the next decade. Are they going to be a tough, physical, defense-first team that wins ugly? Are they going to be an offensive juggernaut that outscores everyone? Are they going to be balanced and adaptable? The coach determines that, not the quarterback, not the draft picks. The head coach sets the tone. Joe Thomas knows this better than anyone. He played for 9 different head coaches in 11 seasons. He saw every approach fail. He understands what Cleveland needs because he's lived what Cleveland doesn't need. And right now, his message is clear. Don't overthink this. Don't get cute. Don't marry yourself to a quarterback who hasn't proven anything. Find the best leader available. Build the culture, then find the players who fit. It's that simple. It's that difficult. The Browns have one shot to get this right. Andrew Berry's job might depend on it. The next 5 years of this franchise definitely depend on it. And Joe Thomas just laid out the blueprint. Now we'll see if anyone in Berea is actually listening.